Mapleshade's Vengeance. 7. Mapleshade trekked back to the forest, skirting the edge of WindClan under cover of darkness and heading for ThunderClan's border with Two Leg Place. She knew she would have to wait for Frecklewish to pass by on patrol. Even then, Mapleshade would need the luck of StarClan to get the she-cat alone. She plunged into the lush green grass at the foot of the two-leg fences, then scrambled up and over the wooden barrier, dropping down into the small, strongly scented enclosure on the other side. Almost at once a fat gray and white Tom heaved himself through the tiny flap on the side of the two-leg den and lumbered toward her, mewling. "Get out of here! You're one of those stinking forest cats, aren't you? My housefolk don't want you in their backyard. Shoo!" Mapleshade waited until the kitty pet was a mouse length away, then shot out one paw and raked his face. The kitty pet leaped backwards, screeching. Blood dripped from his blunt muscle. "Oh!" he wailed. Mapleshade stayed where she was. The kitty pet glared at her through screwed-up eyes before turning and shuffling back to the den. When the flap banged shut behind his plump haunches, Mapleshade steadied the enclosure. A tree grew beside the fence with broad enough branches to support her, and dense leaves to hide her from view. She would wait there for Frecklewish. She scrambled up the tree and settled on a bough that looked out over the forest. She had caught a squirrel at Four-Trees and drunk from a stream, so her belly was comfortably full. Resting her chin on her paws, she let herself doze, one ear pricked for any sounds from below. At dusk, 4 ThunderClan warriors came past, creeping along the bottom of the fence as if they feared the kitty pets were about to attack. Mapleshade curled her lip in scorn. She had thought her clanmates were braver than that. Frecklewish was not among them, though. As night fell, Mapleshade dropped down from her branch into the long grass, hoping to hunt. ThunderClan's scent surrounded her, and for a moment she felt a pang of longing. Then she pictured her clanmates driving her and her kits away, and she thought of Frecklewish watching her kits drown, and her fury returned. She quickly caught a blackbird that was wrestling with a worm and carried it back to the tree. Behind her, the gray and white Tom was bundled out of the den by a cross-sounding two-leg. Mapleshade watched the kitty pet squat on the grass, its eyes huge with fear, then raced back inside. He knows this territory is mine now. Mapleshade slept fitfully, the bark digging into her belly fur and sending a damp chill through her bones. She woke with the first glimmer of dawn, feeling pangs of hunger. The blackbird had been old and scrawny. Mapleshade scanned the forest for signs of movement. All was still beneath the trees. She jumped down and padded into the ferns, scanning for prey. A tiny rustle alerted her to a mouse scrabbling at the foot of a sycamore tree. Mapleshade stalked forward, hoping her flashes of white fur wouldn't startle her prey. The mouse was intent on nibbling a seed, so Mapleshade was able to pounce unseen, killing the creature with a single blow to its neck. Then she froze. She heard voices. Bloomheart was among them, directing his patrol to split up and hunt before meeting again at the lightning-struck elm. There wasn't time to get back to the two-leg fence, so Mapleshade crouched beneath a clump of bracken with her fresh kill. Paw steps came closer, then a glimpse of pale brown fur through the green stems. Frecklewish. StarClan had brought her right to Mapleshade. But she couldn't attack her here, not when the others were so close by. Mapleshade backed carefully out of the bracken, dragging the mouse. Its body was still warm, so the scent it left would seem fresh. Sure enough, she heard Frecklewish sniffing the air and uttering a low growl that suggested she had picked up the trail. Mapleshade let the mouse scrape along the ground a little more before daring to pick it up and move forward with it dangling from her jaws. She couldn't risk being seen by Frecklewish before she had reached Snake Rocks. Mapleshade deliberately pushed her way through the thickest undergrowth so that the mouse left a generous trail of scent. She hoped that her own scent would be lost among general ThunderClan odors. She didn't think she had been out of the clan long enough to smell unfamiliar. She could only just hear Frecklewish stalking her. The she-cat was one of the best hunters in the clan and moved as lightly as a butterfly's wing over the leaf-strewn ground. Suddenly dark gray stones loomed over the stems of bracken. Mapleshade swerved, still carrying the mouse, which felt heavier and heavier in her jaws. She padded around the base of the rocks and emerged into the clearing on the other side. There was hardly any trace of cat scent. Clearly the warriors were concerned that the adders might escape from their prison. Mapleshade hoped the snakes were still there, but had no time to check. She left the mouse on the ground and raced to the heap of smaller stones that had been piled in front of the adder's nest. She pushed aside as many as she could, leaving a gaping black hole, then ducked behind a boulder. Frecklewish emerged cautiously from the bushes, her jaws parted to scent the air and her fur bristling. She looked puzzled when she saw the dead mouse. Mapleshade sprang out from behind the rock and snarled at her.
You let my kids die!
Frecklewish stumbled backward in shock.
Mapleshade, you shouldn't be here!
She arched her back.
Leave, or I'll call the rest of the patrol.
Mapleshade lashed her tail. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw a tiny flicker of movement from the pile of stones. Was that a snake slithering into the light? Mapleshade took a step closer to the rocks.
Too scared to fight me yourself, Frecklewish? She hissed. You prefer watching helpless kids drown, don't you?
The brown she-kit stiffened.
I thought your kids would be saved, she rasped. I never meant for them to die.
Mapleshade sniffed.
I don't believe you! You're a fox-hearted coward. I bet you're glad they're dead.
Frecklewish bounded toward Mapleshade, her eyes flashing with anger.
I wish you were dead, she spat. You betrayed my brother's name.
Mapleshade dodged sideways just as Frecklewish lunged at her. With a yelp, the she-cat stumbled into the pile of stones. Before she could find her footing, there was a hiss, and a sleek, dark green head darted forward, tongue flicking.
Adder!
Gasped Frecklewish. There was a blur of moment. Then Frecklewish staggered backward, screeching.
It bit me! Help! Like you helped my kids,
Mapleshade growled.
Never. I hope you die in agony.
Frecklewish yowled again, a wordless shriek of pain. Almost at once, paw steps thrummed toward them from the trees. Frecklewish, is that you? Called Bloomheart. Mapleshade slipped into the clump of bracken at the far side of the clearing. She knew she should flee before the patrol arrived, but she wanted to watch Frecklewish die. With a crackling of undergrowth, Bloomheart and 2 other ThunderClan warriors, Seedpelt and Thrushtalon, burst into the clearing. Keep watch for snakes, Bloomheart ordered. His clanmates spun around and scanned the rocks. Bloomheart bent over Frecklewish, who was curled on the ground with her paws over her eyes.
It's all right, Frecklewish. We're here now.
My eyes! Wailed Frecklewish.
I can't see!
Bloomheart lifted his head.
Oh, StarClan, if we ever needed Ravenwing, it is now. Why did you take him from us?
Then he shook himself and faced his clanmates.
Seedpelt, we need soaked moss as fast as you can. We have to wash the venom out of her eyes. Thrushtalon, fetch every scrap of fennel you can find in the medicine stores. We have to try to save Frecklewish's eyesight.
The 2 warriors darted away. Bloomheart placed his paw on Frecklewish's flank.
Lie still,
he meowed.
We're doing everything we can. The ThunderClan doesn't have a medicine cat, Frecklewish whimpered. Am I going to die? Not on my watch, Bloomheart vowed.
Mapleshade felt bile rise in her throat as her former mentor soothed the cat who had watched her kits drown. Frecklewish's eyes were a seeping, clouded mess. Even if she survived, she would never watch anything again. Mapleshade knew she had to leave before the rest of ThunderClan rushed to help Frecklewish. She crept through the undergrowth to the thickest part of the forest, then raced back to the 2-leg fence. Cries of alarm filtered through the trees as more warriors arrived at Snake Rocks. The sounds faded as Mapleshade scrambled over the fence and crouched on the bare brown earth, panting. Only one voice echoed in her ears now. Patchkit, her tiniest, most defenseless kit.
Help me, Mama!
Her daughter, Petalkit, had found peace with the attack on Frecklewish. Like Larchkit, her desperate cries had been silenced. For a moment, Mapleshade's breath was crushed beneath a wave of grief for her son and daughter she might never see again. Then she clenched her jaw and pictured the final cat who had to suffer for the death of her kits.
Not long now, Patchkit, she vowed. Soon, you will be free.